So I haven't really been making videos lately. My headaches have been a big part of it. I talked about that in a previous video. It's been a really bad episode that's lasted for months, and it's been quite a problem that we haven't quite sorted out. And in the moments of clarity I have had, I've had to focus on other things that I've fallen behind on, and TikTok just hasn't been a priority. I'm sorry, but that's just the facts. But I want to update you on one little thing that has happened, which is that my wife got tested for ADHD. And they asked her some questions. They were doing the whole evaluation. And there were points in the evaluation when they were asking her these questions, and she was going, well, that's not me, but that is my husband. So she told me, you should go get assessed. So I went ahead and I went and put in the request and had a screening appointment to determine whether or not I should get evaluated. And at that screening appointment, they asked me some questions. Obviously, that's the point of a screening appointment. One of the questions that she asked was whether or not I had had any brain trauma. And I said, well, I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? How do you not know if you've experienced brain trauma? And I was like, well, there was this one event, but I don't know if it was brain trauma or not because I never got it checked. I never went and saw anybody about it. I've mentioned it before in relation to my headaches, but it hasn't really been a thing that anyone has done anything about. They haven't really talked about it. They haven't really pursued it or anything like that. So I don't know if it's serious or not. And she goes, explain. So I told her about how I was at Ozfest in 2001 in Pittsburgh, and I was at the second stage. I was in a mosh pit. I was having a blast. I love mosh pits. I can't do them anymore, my back and my knees, but I love them. They're a great time. So I'm in this mosh pit, and I'm getting really thirsty. I've been in there for a while. I really need to go get a drink. So I go to leave, but there's like a wall of people around the pit, and they're not really letting me through. I'm like, let me through, and I'm exhausted, and I'm thirsty, and my throat's dry, and so I'm having some trouble speaking, but I'm asking them to let me through, and they're not doing it. And I turn around and look, and this dude who's about twice my size, I was significantly smaller at the time, but this dude that was about twice my size came barreling at me. Now, I have some understanding of how to deal with this situation. I have dealt with it a number of times, and so I braced myself, shoulder down. As soon as he got it close enough, lift, throw him back into the pit. All right, use his momentum to chuck him back into the pit. Turn around, go back to the people. Let me out. They're not letting me out. Okay. I turn around, he's running at me again. So I'm just like, all right, fine. Throw my arms out, stand there. Dude nails me. I went flying through a few rows of people, probably about 3 rows of people before I hit the ground and rolled a little bit. So I roll a little bit, I get up, dust myself off, walk over, get myself a drink. This is how I recall it. I got off the ground, walked over, bought a drink, took a couple sips of it, walked back to find my friends. 5 minutes, tops. I get back to my friends, they're like, where have you been? We didn't know what happened to you. I was like, oh, I was in the pit, and then I came out, and they're like, no, we saw that bit. We saw you come out of the pit. We saw you get up and walk away, and that was it. And I was like, well, then what are you asking me for? I went over there, I got a drink, I came right back. It's been like 2 minutes. They said, it's been an hour. And she goes, you don't remember that hour? I was like, no, not a bit. No memory of anything that happened in that hour. She's like, were you unconscious? Like, I don't know. So she goes, okay. When did you say the headache started? And I was like, fall of 2011. November of 2011. She said, when did you say this incident happened? 10 years earlier? I was like, yeah, it was June of 2001. She starts going, I have a theory, but we'll get back to that. Let me ask some more questions. So she's asking me for some more questions, and she started to identify that some of the symptoms of ADHD that my wife was identifying don't seem to have started until after 2001. At some point, like while I was in college and stuff like that, is when they started to show up. And I was like, oh, yeah, I never really thought about that. And she goes, okay. So she tells me, okay, so I think what we're looking for here isn't ADHD. I think what we're looking for here is brain damage. So I'm going to send you to go ahead and get a neuropsych evaluation. So I don't have ADHD, and I might have an answer to my headaches finally. But so right now I'm just waiting to hear back from the people who do the neuropsych evaluation to schedule that. And in the meantime, I told my wife, hey, please remind me, there's a specific shirt I want to wear when I go to the appointment. I want to make sure I remember this. Please remind me to grab this shirt that morning. It's this one. This is the shirt I'm going to wear to my neuropsych evaluation. I'm looking forward to it.